How would you attempt to remove years of caked on baked on tree sap? Look how bad the shell is. Better way to go. Look at all this stuff piling up there. I mean, it's just like you're using paint stripper. Just amazing, amazing, amazing.
Brian's Mobile One.
Yeah, that's not suds, that's like sap. See the yellow color? That's tree sap. Son, it's nasty stuff. I bought this shell off of Craigslist and it was basically just trashed. As you see all these spots, those are not hard water stains, those are not dust. This glass is actually covered in tree sap. If I scratch it, you can see that it's not smooth. Nothing takes that off except for a razor blade and rubbing alcohol. A guy by the name of Chris of Chris Fix, he did a whole video showing all these remedies that work and don't work. And then of course you get back to alcohol, and that's what does work for tree sap. So I've got some isopropyl rubbing alcohol, 70%. I've got a clean blue paper towel. I'm just gonna scrub that until it looks clean. So I'm gonna put the alcohol on the rag. If you put on the surface, I find it just evaporates almost immediately. And we're going to begin now. Rubbing alcohol works awesome on fresh sticky tree sap. It helps to dry it out. I look at it against the light, I can see that there's still alcohol there, or not alcohol, sap. However, on tree sap it's already really dried. While it's wet it works, but it dries so fast it doesn't help. This is 2 square inches, so whatever it winds up being. Of course I'm redabbing, you could probably just call that right there. It actually looks pretty good. We're going to be thorough. Alright, that's pretty clean. We'll call that. So about 40 seconds, give or take. And so I'd say it takes you about 20 seconds per square inch. I think that's fair. So you can see it's just a really clean spot. We'll move this just right next to it. I think repeating the test would be a good idea too. Anyway, 40 seconds, 2 square inches. It cleaned it up to where it's, you know, it's hazy. It needs like glass cleaner or detailer or something. But the alcohol certainly works. All right, so that one was rubbing alcohol. Let's do Simple Green. Got a fresh paper towel. I'm gonna spray this with Simple Green. This is just, I got like a big jug of it and then I just dilute it as it says to on the package. Let's begin. Takes the tape off. One thing I noticed almost immediately is that the Simple Green wasn't drying or dragging. It felt like it wasn't doing anything at all. If I get my fingernail in there, kind of takes it. Might be because the tape was already done once. I pulled the tape exactly the same, so it'd be the same area. I think that's pretty good actually. That actually took it off. I didn't expect it to. I thought it would do crappy like water does. Simple Green actually works. And the big advantage is less friction, less elbow grease. So it's about the same time, but I will say I was really using mechanical advantage. I was using my fingernail. I cleared a bigger area than the other because the tape was shot. That's interesting. Simple Green actually worked pretty good. As far as times go, just about the same. Very interesting. All right. Let's give you an idea. I'm just going to do a big area. No fingernail. We're going to run it for the same amount of time. See what comes on it. The Simple Green outperforms the alcohol in that it doesn't dry out and create a lot of friction, but it's just smearing it around everywhere. It's not lifting it. Back and forth over that same area. Another difference is that I spray the surface directly instead of spraying the rag. Spraying the rag is proven to be more effective if you're just using a rag, but again, it's just smearing stuff everywhere. It's not lifting it. All right, that's about the same amount of time. Let's see how it did. You can see the thicker stuff, the heavier stuff is all still present, but the real lightweight stuff, it actually did a pretty good job cleaning it up. This was baked on in the Wyoming sun. And it's all over the shell. I mean, it's all over the paint. It's all down the side. If you're getting it off of the glass, you can do it with a razor blade and it goes really quick. That's actually why I've got this pushed back, is I'm going to do that. This side looks really clean and nice because I've gone over it with the alcohol and razor blade. I do a special thing with the razor blade. On the glass I leave it totally exposed, but on the paint you've got all these little bumps, all these little spots. And for those, what I do is I tape the razor blade on each side with gaffing tape, having it be closed at the bottom and open at the top. And the reason I do that is it actually creates a little gap. So you can see the gap under the razor blade. You can take your thumb and you can get it to just the right height. And the gaffing tape actually keeps these corners from scratching things up, but it also gives you that variability. This takes skill and patience. If you just dive into it, you're going to take the paint and the clear coat. This is a skill thing. This is not a crazy reckless thing, but this is how you save a lot of time on thick tree sap, especially when it's been baked on like this. Let me show you how it works. Now these high spots like that, in order to get those off, it would take forever with rubbing alcohol. Like you'd have the worst tennis elbow ever. But if you go through with the razor blade, it only picks up just the pine sap, just that pine tar or whatever, tree sap. And like I say, you can just get it to where you get so much of it off all together at once. Now this shell needs to be painted anyway. It doesn't match the truck, it's a mess. But you can't paint it with all of this tree sap on there. You know, this is definitely the way to go. You can just cruise through, hit a bunch of these little high spots, and then go back through with your rubbing alcohol and clean up the rest. So I've gone through and picked off all the high spots, but you can just feel a huge difference. Found I could even ride this little run right here with the razor blade. It's actually fun to run your hand over. It was really discouraging before, but now we can go back with the alcohol. So you can still feel a little bit of a spot, a little high spot right there. You look over the top, it's blank. Everything else is polka dotted. Wherever you see a rim that's kind of thick, you can go back over that real quick with the razor blade and it'll just knock it right down. It's getting exciting, we're getting there. I know it doesn't look like much, but you can sure feel a difference when you run your hand over it. As well as this was working to get the high spots off, I got thinking, if I were to use Simple Green as a lubricant because it works so well, and then use a razor blade like this, I wonder what that would do. So as you look at this, it's just so much work and so much to do. I tried to do this with alcohol. It wasn't doing much anything with it. Tried the Simple Green, same story. I did Simple Green and then a straight razor. I'd basically just pre-soak it in the Simple Green. So like this. See, like this is just all opaque right here. So we will draw an arrow so you know we're in the same spot. Spray it with a Simple Green. Take a straight razor, and I'm not etching this way, I'm going the wrong way, like this. And bear in mind, this is so thick that I'm nowhere near the paint to begin with. I'm not pushing hard, there's no elbow grease involved. And now I'm scratching it because I don't have the Simple Green. Look how fast that got through that. The key is to be patient enough to grab the spray bottle. I've never seen anything with so much tree sap on it, so dry, you know, just caked so bad. We'll get a dry one here. Dry it off. Look at that. Back to gloss. Remember the arrow that we drew? That's it right there. So the way to do it, especially for the top of this, I mean, hands down, it's going to be a razor blade and Simple Green. Simple Green seems to soften it the best. It just seems to break it up. If I do the alcohol and try to do the razor thing, the alcohol evaporates too quickly. So that's all parts that I've done. This was done too dry. Let's show you how to do it right. Set the razor blade down. Whichever side you start with, keep with that side or else it'll bark and chot on you and stuff. C-H-O-T, chot. That's what I call it when it just catches real quick. So what used to be, you know, like an area this big, 2 square inches, that would take, you know, 45 seconds. I just did it. That's it. Yeah, it just chotted. So this is how you do it. Just get down into it. You find your happy angle. Experiment a little bit.
Keep it wet like this, you don't scratch. Let it get dry, it'll scratch.
Just get in that sweet spot. And be careful. Notice I've got 2 fingers on the front of it. My thumb's just kind of holding it up through the spoiler effect. This is such a relief to find this method because there's so much square footage, literally square footage, that is contaminated with this tree sap that's just turning into glossy, yummy, awesome paint instead of that nasty, opaque, bumpy, textured, gross looking tree sap surface. You know, stuff that you just can't get off, you know, without just manual scrubbing. I'm just being thorough now. Because like I say, there's some high spots in here. There's another one. Little patches. This is working so good. It's just so insanely better way to go. Look at all this stuff piling up there. I mean, it's just like you're using paint stripper or something. It comes off faster than using paint stripper. It's just amazing. Amazing. Speaking of amazing, you want to see a cool video about stripping paint? I'll put a link at the end, if I remember, of Ammo NYC. He's a detail guy. He has a great channel, lots of great advice. I don't know what he uses for tree sap. I don't even know what kind of tree sap this is. So let's just do a little patch real quick. I mean, this is, you can hear that? This is smooth. This is rough. So we'll just go like this. I'm gonna do that right before your eyes here. If you've ever tried to scrub tree sap off using alcohol or simple green or just anything else without the razor blade, or alcohol and razor blade doesn't even work because the alcohol, it doesn't lubricate well enough for one, and it dissipates, it leaves you dry so you get damage. But the simple green, oh man, that stuff works good. So we piled up a bunch of this. That's not suds, that's like sap. See the yellow color? That's tree sap. Son, it's nasty stuff. Nasty stuff. So this was baked on in the Wyoming heat for years. This shell's off of 2010. I don't know how long it was in service. He thinks that's funny. Smirking at me. Smirking. So anyway, that is the method, especially if you have, you know, look at all this that I have to do still. And it's, dude, I'm not even intimidated by it. I could finish that tonight if I wanted to. It just turns out amazing. And this is simple green in this bottle up to here, the concentrate from the gallon, and then I fill it up the rest of the way with water. So why did I get a mismatched shell like this to begin with? I've got a nice late model truck. What was I thinking? This is what I was thinking. You know, getting the shell as cheap as I did, I could paint it white and have it set up like this. In fact, that's what I did. Here's what my truck looks like now. Connect with me socially on Brian's Mobile One Facebook and Instagram pages.